Literally maybe 2.5 years later, I got on Def Comedy Jam. From watching it at home to auditioning for it, and then right after I graduated from school, I'm on the show. So that moment was like, nigga, I'm looking around. Cedric the Entertainer's over here. J. Anthony Brown right there. Russell Simmons is right there in the control director's booth. Stan Lathan, the director, is there. Jamie Foxx is hosting my show. Queen Latifah's in the audience. Like, it's... Yeah. Like, it was crazy. Bill Bellamy, Royale Watkins. I'm meeting all these people. Mm-hmm. And I'm this kid that just graduated from school in North Carolina. So I'm looking around like... And everybody was cool. That's crazy, man. Everybody's cool. So that was my moment. It's crazy. I always find it's crazy when I do these interviews. I always find parallels, man, and how a lot of us are mirrors in some of our journey. What's crazy about Wiggles? It was like I was living in Baltimore at the time. You know what I'm saying? And like popping was a big thing in the hood out there, and everybody was doing it. But that's obviously there was no YouTube, no nothing. This is like '99. And my homie brings home a VHS tape of the Wiggles, and I'm like, who's Mr. Wiggles? At this point, I only seen Breaking, and I only seen Beat Street. So we was just kind of steal every little moment we saw off of those movies, and that was our repertoire, plus whatever hood dances people was doing in the hood at the time. And then he brings home this Wiggles tape, and like that was the moment where I was like, I gotta learn to master this. Like, I didn't know a human body could have that much control and just and this is at the moment where Wiggs was still doing the crazy ground moves and the knee work, the knee moves, and mixing it with the popping, and just like, to me, I mean, if Wiggles ain't on your Mount Rushmore, you're just tripping. Like, he was that. So it's crazy how, like, your moment of, like, in a way where you like, I've arrived in the entertainment, Wiggles was a part of it. And my moment of like just be falling in love with the craft involved Wiggles and Rocksteady Wiggles at that. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how that time period kind of was. It was a different ball game, man. And so like, I guess like you know, if I had to separate, like, who are your biggest influences in comedy, and who are your biggest comedy and acting, and who are your biggest influences in movement, artistry, and dance? You know what I mean? If you had to separate those categories, like who? Obviously, I know Wiggles and Rocksteady, but like I know there might be some other movers that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's on my wall for a reason. Like Eddie. Eddie. And if you really ask most comedians, Eddie's their go-to. You know what I mean? Richard Pryor is definitely one of the best to ever do it. I didn't grow up with Richard, though. I grew up with Eddie. So that was my direct influence, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, the list goes on from Eddie. Yeah. For me, Martin Lawrence, the whole Wayans family, and Jim Carrey, what he was able to do on In Living Color, and outside of In Living Color, like he became a huge influence and impact on me as well. I mean, Chris Rock, George Carlin, you know, just to name a few. The list goes on and on. I mean, Bernie Mac, people like Earthquake that, you know, he's a legend too. So yeah, it's a lot of people, man. A lot of people have influenced me. Yeah, man. And what's crazy is, I had a feeling Eddie was gonna be in your top, because like what I noticed about you, man, is your ability to switch characters. You know what I'm saying? Eddie was so versatile with his characters. I mean, he'd be in a movie and could play 8-9 different people, and they all got distinct personalities, distinct backstories, like, he was just crazy with it. And that's what I admire about your swag, is like, your versatility is crazy, and just like even the impersonations and all that, man, that's just like, there's not many people I felt like in your genre that have that level of versatility like you do, man. And I was like, Eddie probably gonna be in his top when I asked him, because Eddie's so versatile, man. And I'm like, I see a lot of that in Affion's, you know, in his swag. You know what I mean? How he goes. Thank you, man. But as far as the other part of your question, movement artists. Yeah, exactly. Bro, I mean, look, starting with Michael. Amen. Michael's an alien. And Yeah, he's fucking alien. Like to be a non-trained dancer and to be able to do videos with all people who've been trained all their life, and you fit right into the choreography and make it your own, and you make it street, and you make it electric boogaloo, and we know
Yeah.
who we was talking about. We know that Poppin' Pete, Skeeter Rabbit, Taco, Sugar Pop. We know that they all had influence. Jeffrey Daniels,
of course.
But Mike had his own thing from time he was young.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a little kid, he was imitating James Brown and Jackie Wilson.
Jackie Wilson.
What I mean? As he got a little older, he was imitating the Lockers. Him and all his brothers, they were doing the Lockers.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just mimics. They were great mimics. I don't think they trained with the Lockers. They just were great mimics. So, and then again, when he started working with Taco and all those and the electric boogaloos, he picked up, the backslide and all types of popping isolations. I mean, you're so great at that. But fast forward for me, my biggest dance influence that I would say encompasses my whole style and inspiration is Fendi from EPMD. If you're not aware of Fendi, just look up EPMD on Apollo. Look at the video. So What You Saying? He's the only dancer in there. He's dancing around with a cane. And he was real flexible, so he would do all kind of crazy shit. He would pick his whole foot up and hold his heel and dance around in a circle, then jump down into a split, and like he had this real crazy style. But at one point, it was him by himself, and then he teamed up with Marquest from Mop Top. And that whole crew is another heavy influence on my style. You know what I mean?
Stretch.
Yeah, Stretch, Link, Khalif. When I saw the Baby Don't Cry video, Layla Hathaway, that changed my whole style. Like I will give them their flowers anytime. I'll be like, yo, y'all directly influence my whole style.
Khalif, man. That brother, man, he's so crazy with it. I've been in so many sessions in New York with Khalif, man, him just dropping gems on me, man. Like, I always looked for tall dancers, too, because I'm 6'1", 6'2", you know what I mean? So
same height.
Yeah, so I was always looking at taller dancers to be like, how are they using their body so I can, help me use my body in a different way. And I never forget, like, Khalif is taller than us. I think Khalif, like, 6'3", 6'4". Skeeter Rabbit, rest in peace. Dude, he was 6'4".
Skeet was about 6'3", 6'4". And he was swole.
And the man could do full Van Damme splits, full on. Like, he was flexible, bro. He was open, and the way he used to stretch his body out when he moved, it was like, it let me know that when you move more dynamic as a taller dancer, how much greater the lines could look, and how like we can stretch a move out longer because of our limbs and all that. So I learned a lot from Khalif.
You know what's funny? I never knew that I was a tall dancer because my partners, we were all the same height. So we just tried to dance dope. We didn't look at it as we were tall. And everyone in Fayetteville, when I was coming up, we were all around the same height. It wasn't until I moved to LA and all of the artists are short. So when I would audition for artists, I'm like, I'm not gonna get this job because Cisco is 2 feet tall. And a lot of the dancers, a lot of the B-boys, all the people that, it was a lot of shorter dancers. And they now looking at me like, damn, you're a tall dancer, but you can move. And I think that's what also makes Les Twins so impressive, because them motherfuckers is like 6'3", 6'4", too.
Yeah, they tall.
And incredible.
Yeah. Them brothers is cold, man. I mean, they're already dynamic movers as individuals, but they got that twin connection that you can only have with a twin, and it's just like it's a blessing to watch them. I really enjoy watching them dance together. It's like a chemistry that only they got. You know what I'm saying?
And my dance partners at the crib, they were twins too. So I saw it early on how twins can rock together and have that other sense about each other while they're dancing. It was crazy.
So I mean, people seen you in the films, on Wild 'N Out, TV, all this stuff, but like a lot of people don't know like the journey. So like, what was the transition like for you? Like, all right, I'm finna get up out the South, because it's something like, man, it's even ancestral. Even when you go back to to the Harlem Renaissance era, so many blacks were migrating from the South to New York, even in the 60s, migrating from the South to Oakland, to the West Coast, to go to more liberal areas to seek better opportunities. So it's so crazy how, like, I'm from Florida, Miami. I moved all the way to LA because it wasn't that much opportunity. So I want to know, like, what was that? And in your way, what was that like? What was the moment you were like, I got to get the hell out of North Carolina and really do this shit? You know what I mean? Because I know there's that moment, because I know how it is being in the South. Like, sometimes we can be comfortable in our areas, in our neighborhood, how we come up and taking a risk like that. Like, I didn't go to Cali, Affion, until I moved there. Like, I had never been to LA or Cali a day in my life. I just landed and was like, all right, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I want to know, like, what your journey was like, and what was like that decision. Was it the Apollo, or was it the, the Def Com? Like, what was it that made you go, I'm getting up out of this shit and I'm gone for good?
Yeah, it was after Def Comedy Jam. So I did Def Comedy Jam in '95. I toured, did a lot of like road work. So I was driving up and down freeways, bro.
Yeah.
Doing comedy gigs at little shitty clubs and this and that. And at some point, I was like, I felt in my spirit, like it wasn't ego, it was a spiritual thing of God telling me, you've outgrown the East Coast. You've done all that you can do on this side. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to go west. Mm-hmm. And I had never been to Cali, and I was like, all right, if this is what you want me to do, this is what I'm going to do. And I packed up my car and I drove cross country, bro. Dang. I drove to Cali. I had never been. I had an uncle out here that let me stay with him for a little bit when I first got here. And then, I just started making my way. But I drove in '98 and been here ever since.
That's crazy. And, like, so I related to the dancer, right? Like, some dancers are really good coming off the dome. Straight freestyle, improvisational. They don't need a lot of presets. And then you have some dancers who are better in a choreographed set, or when they're able to create their sequence of movements and have it more prep. So, like, I just want to know, because some of the verses, skits you've been putting up are so fast after they happen. I kind of wanted you, if you don't want to give away none of your secrets or how you go about it, it's fine. But I'm like, it's like, I want to know your process of how, just in general, what is your process when you're creating a stand-up comedian set, or like something like that where you're doing like impersonations, like, because it seems like from an outside viewer in, like, this motherfucker's coming up with that shit fast. Like, it's almost like you're improvising off the cuff. You know what I mean? And I'm like, he already is a good improver via movement, so it wouldn't surprise me if he like, yo, I'm gonna just throw on the camera and just go. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just wanted to know, like, how do you go about it? You know what I'm saying? When you're creating comedy in that vein, you know what I'm saying? Is it more improv swag, or you kind of got like a rough blueprint and then you just wing it? Like, school me, because I'm not a comedian, so I kind of want to get inside your mind.
Well, you'll understand it from dance, because you're great at what you do, and I want to make sure I let you know that. Like, I'm highly impressed at your level of production.
Respect.
Even down to the outfits that you wear. Like, you have your own style, and I'm assuming you have your own tailor and you get your stuff custom made.
Yeah. But
you have your own signature style, and you're crazy. The way you move is crazy. Like, it's animated. You're hitting. You're fat. Like, anyway, we'll get deeper into that. But you're incredible at what you do.
Thank you, brother.
And I've been paying real close attention, and everything that you do has like meaning, and even pre all of this that's going on, like right now, you were always doing like activist type pieces and interpretive pieces that were very, very I mean, they went viral, but they were just very profound to me.
Respect.
Twitch, my guy.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So I would say this. Hip hop teaches me everything. It taught me everything I know about everything. Right?
Yeah.
Hip hop taught me martial arts. Hip hop and Bruce Lee. Like, before I was in a formal class, I just watched Bruce Lee movies. Yeah. And because of my dance rhythm and ability, I was able to spar people, and through timing, intercept their move, right? And get away, get in and out of the strike zones, right?
Yeah.
Also through dance and MCing, being able to think quickly, freestyling, because freestyle is a whole different art form. You're literally in the moment.
Yeah.
And you're talking about somebody, the shoes that he got on, and he just laid on the lawn, and she walking around with a baby, and the smile on her face is looking crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being able to think that fast.
Yeah.
When it comes to comedy, it's a slowed down version of that. So you know how it is when you train at a high intensity. If you're used to dancing to house music or, you know, EDM or electronic, like high tempo music, by the time somebody give you a mid tempo joint, you just in the pot. You like, it's just groove at that point, right? If you are a choreographed dancer and that's your thing, you gonna get in that circle and look crazy. You're gonna look a little rigid because you're thinking of the moves.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
I know.
So,
exactly.
I mean, I've seen you do that. I see Steve standing on here, my brother, like you, Twitch, me, Steve, like Super Dave. We all can freestyle. We could be anywhere. They throw on a beat and we could all jump in a circle and have a time.
Yeah, facts.
To ourselves for an hour or so. Like we could just go in and just all groove, get it done, right? So when it comes to these live versus comedy joints, that's all like, all right. And sure, there's a blueprint because I'm watching the battle. I'm like, okay, this happened, that happened, and that happened, and then this happened, and this was the end, and this is the transition, and that's all just like a template in my head. But it does help that, you know, in stand-up comedy, I have the same thing. Like, I know my set as a stand-up comedian, but I always leave room for somebody to yell out something, somebody to get up and walk to the bathroom in the middle of me talking. You know, the things that you can't predict. You have to leave room for that to come in the middle of your structure. So, case in point, as a dancer, we have signature moves. We have certain things that we'll do that's like kind of set pieces, right? But we can flow in and out of them when we need to. And then you go to your signature joint. Like, you know, I'm a freestyle, I'm a bop a little bit. And at some point, you're going to see a crane come out. You're going to see a karate kick. You're going to see, you know, me get down to an Indian style, whatever. You're going to see some signature move that's throughout my sets. But it's being able to weave freestyle with the structure is what I guess is the secret.
That's lit though, man. That's lit because crazy is like when you talked about some of the productions and stuff, like obviously like, you know, I when I was making films, I always wanted to, you know, my mother growing up, the big love I had passion for street dance and I had passion for film. Like when I was young, my mother would make me watch movies like Schindler's List and Color Purple and just like really heavy narrative stuff, like as at a young age. So when I started making stuff, I'm like, the way those films make me feel, I want to find ways to make people feel that way when I'm dancing. And I felt like, so, I mean, we can just feel the spirit when we're in a cypher, but that's when I was like, man, I really want to start creating these films and touching on things that have nothing to do with dance, but they provoke that emotion out of you, the same emotion that I used to feel when I would watch some of those strong, legendary films that are stained in my brain. And what's crazy is even when I create, it's funny, me and you create in a similar way, and maybe it's the hip hop upbringing, but a lot of those moments I leave room for improv because if I'm going to express a raw emotion of anger about police brutality or mass incarceration, whatever the topic is, it has to be raw. It can't be so set because you're gonna feel the inauthenticity of it if it's too planned. So I kind of lay out a blueprint of, okay, I have the shots, I know the shot list, I make the shot, I do all the, you know, the logistics. I always leave gaps to be a freestyler because that's the core of who I am. So even if we have a choreographed moment, whenever that moment of improv comes, you always got to leave those gaps, man. And that's crazy that like you say like hip hop is what helped you kind of create your structure of how you create. That's dope, man, to know, because I'm naive to the comedic space. So I'm like, I know there's maybe some comedians you met who they have to maybe have everything maybe more organized or structured because they don't have that same background as you of like understanding your body and being free in the music and all that kind of stuff. So that's like amazing that like, you kind of use, one of my mentors always says, use everything you know. You know what I mean? Everything you know. And I'll never forget, he told me that when we was laughing, he's like, use your acting, use your facials, use your life experiences, your pain, your struggle, like all that has to go inside of what everything you create. And so it's dope that you use everything that you have to create. That's super raw, bro. Respect on that, man. Dope.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like I said, hip hop is everything for me. It's what I started in. I've been doing it since 10. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they say, when it comes to school, right? When it comes to doctorates and when they call people experts in their field, they only have, let's say, 7-8 years of school max. If you go on to get your PhD and do post schooling and all that kind of stuff, right? Graduate school, 7-8 years max. Mm-hmm. Here we are, 10, 20, 30 years
in the game
of expertise in what we do. Facts. So why are we not, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are experts at what we do. Facts. So that has to come in. Like, it's like breathing to me. You put on any song, especially like a joint. Mm-hmm. You put on a Dilla. You see why Dilla's on my wall? You put on a Dilla joint, you gonna get. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna do. The music is gonna tell me what to do. My neck is gonna start moving. My feet gonna start moving. It's gonna happen. So, in the same vein, when that comedy rhythm comes out, and I'm on stage and I'm in my shit. I'm talking. I'm delivering my set. I got the first joke out. They laughed at that. I'm like, all right, the rhythm is there. Second joke out. All right, cool. Maybe they didn't laugh so hard at the second joke. And I'm like, y'all ain't like that shit, huh? Man, what the fuck are you eating? Did you order that or did you bring that in? You know what I mean? Like, you start going and just feel happens. The rhythm. You let it happen. Trust the comedy. Mm-hmm. Or trust the art. Trust your ability to deliver. When you don't trust yourself, you're going to always be second guessing it in your head about it. But when you trust and just know you can do it, it changes your delivery. You know the difference between a confident boxer and a timid one. Facts. A timid boxer is going to be on them goddamn ropes and flinching and shit. And he going to, you know what I mean? They backpedal a lot. Mm-hmm. Confident boxer, hands half down. He got one, like Mayweather or Pacquiao, he go right for your head. He coming to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? But a confident boxer like Ali,
he chilling.
Bop, bop, bop. It's nothing. There's a swag to it. Yeah. So when you have your confidence and you know your craft, that swag that's gonna take you everywhere.
That's crazy, man. So like, I guess one of my other questions is like, has like, and this is just kind of a little bit off topic, but on topic. Like, you started your journey as an artist, as a comedian, pre-social media boom. You know what I mean? Like, like we talked about. I was watching Wiggles tapes on my VCR. You feel what I'm saying? Different ball games. So how do you feel like, just like the change of like TikTok, Instagram, like how has it benefited the craft, and in a way, do you feel like it's been a detriment? Because I can only think of from a dance perspective, you know what I'm saying, and a movement art perspective. Like, I feel like it's giving people more platform to showcase their talent, but also sometimes it's hard to weed out who's who because everybody has a platform to do it, and then the dude who has 10 million followers, and it may be, gimmicky with it, but the person who's got 5,000 is one of the coldest in the streets, but the person with more followers is getting the more looks. So I feel like it's some pros and some cons. I wanted to know, like, from a comedian perspective, has it been great, this social media generation, or has it been like, this kind of fucks it up a little bit? Like, I just want to know, like, because you're in both generations, you know what I'm saying? So I want to
I span all generations when it comes to creating, right? because I was blessed enough to be able to study Carol Burnett, Benny Hill, Eddie on SNL, the greats. I've been able to study, see what they do in living color, of course. Def Comedy Jam, pre-me.
Yeah.
And absorb. And then, now I'm a participant in the hip hop era, in the 80s, in the 90s, and now 2000s. I'm in comedy, and now 2020. Bruce Lee said in Return of the Dragon, a couple of his students was talking about, Kung Fu is better than Taekwondo, and that's I'm gonna stick to my tradition and what I know. And Bruce says, that's all hogwash. If it helps you to look after yourself in a fight, no matter what it is, you should learn it. You should learn the style. You should learn any style that's going to be helpful to you. That's how I look at all this shit. So back in the day, I still got the camera. I had a Canon. We were shooting on little high 8 tapes or digital tapes, right? Cassettes. We were shooting sketches, had to upload it to the computer, and you had to edit it, and render it. It was all kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
Now it's faster. I can shoot on my phone, upload it immediately with very little editing.
Facts.
Within seconds. So
yeah.
Why would I hold on to the old school way of doing things because I'm mad at what these new kids are doing?
Yeah.
I don't judge the talent because here's the thing. Talent is always going to show up. I don't care what the format is. True. Because if we talking about old school, right? The people that say old school way is better than the internet way, right? Mm-hmm. In the old school way, there was garbage motherfuckers too. There was garbage MCs back in the golden era. There, you know what I mean? There was garbage dancers. There was garbage, all kinds of, you know what I'm saying? Across all things.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be dope motherfuckers and garbage niggas.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of garbage on Instagram and TikTok and all. Like, there's plenty of people that's trying it that don't have it, but you know the ones that do.
You're right.
Those are the ones that we all fuck with. Depending on who you follow, when Desi Banks puts up a video, that shit's getting millions of views because he got it. He's organically funny. Hi Davis, King Batch, Pretty Miss V. Like, it's not a fluke that these people are getting the followers. Now there are some people that aren't as talented that are getting the followers too, but that just goes to show you that persistence is key.
Facts.
So it don't matter. Like, the hardest working motherfucker is gonna get the look.
Yeah.
Not the one that thinks he's talented and just kind of sits back and waits for it to come to him.
Mm-hmm. And that's
I use it all.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I try to. Before I go into this, I want to show you something because the connection with Bruce Lee. Just because you keep talking about Bruce, I had to. Hold up. You see what I got in the crib?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, like,
yeah,
you see me,
Oh yeah.
You see me,
we showing the Bruces, huh? We showing the Bruces.
Yeah, we going Bruce.
Hold on a second. Let me get up out my seat real quick. Let me get up out my seat.
Let me see.
I got. This is just in my library. I got a lot of paraphernalia though. I got a lot of paraphernalia. You know.
I see you. What's crazy? Here's a funny story though about Bruce. Is his daughter Shannon Lee is one of my really good friends. I've known her for like 11 years, and I always shout her out because she saw something in me when I first moved to LA. You know what I mean? It was crazy. I didn't even know who she was. My friend was on So You Think You Can Dance. Next to Shannon, not know who she is, and I remember my homies like, man, I'm doing this Bruce Lee piece, man, because you know a lot of b-boys, just a lot of people in period love. She was there because they had to license his image from her in order. Just talking, I don't even know who she is. We hitting it off. We're just talking about life and art and dance and all this, and I'm like, so who are you here to see?